Her name was Jessica. 3 months into our relationship, everything seemed perfect. Great chemistry, similar values. We even liked the same obscure indie bands that make you sound pretentious at parties. You know, the ones where you say, "Oh, you've never heard of Neutral Milk Obscurity's B-sides," and everyone secretly wants to punch you. Then one night at dinner, her phone lit up. Her face changed instantly. I nodded sympathetically while stuffing my face with pasta like a man who just discovered carbs. 4th time this month he'd reached out. 4th time she'd complained about it. At this point, I knew more about this guy's texting habits than my own brother's. And I once had to bail my brother out of jail after he drunk texted his ex-boss. But something felt off. If she was truly done with him, why keep responding? Why these detailed backstories about his messages? It was like watching someone claim they hate reality TV while simultaneously knowing every character's blood type on The Bachelor. Yeah, sure, you accidentally watched 7 seasons. Little did I know, I was witnessing the first red flag in what behavioral psychologists call the X test, one of the most reliable predictors of your relationship's future. And trust me, I've failed this test enough times to become an accidental expert. My relationship resume reads like a what not to do manual, the science behind your relationship doom. Let me share something I discovered after my 3rd failed relationship and a concerning amount of late-night research. And by research, I mean Googling, "Why am I always single at 2 a.m. while eating cold pizza?" Relationship scientists at the University of Denver studied over 1,000 couples and found that how someone deals with their ex-partners is one of the strongest indicators of how they'll treat their relationship with you. It's not just about whether they're friends with their exes. That's like judging a movie by its poster. Surface level and usually misleading. Oh look, explosions and a helicopter. This must be thought-provoking cinema. In my research, I came across renowned relationship psychologist, Dr. Kendra Walsh's work. She explains that past relationship patterns create a psychological blueprint that people unconsciously follow. These aren't just coincidences, they're behavioral tendencies that predict future actions with remarkable accuracy. In other words, your girlfriend's weird text exchange with her ex isn't just an isolated incident, it's basically a preview trailer for your relationship's coming attractions. And spoiler alert, it's not always a romantic comedy. Sometimes it's a horror film where your dignity is the first casualty. We're terrible at reading these signals. The problem, most of us guys are absolutely terrible at reading these signals. We're like colorblind people trying to solve a Rubik's Cube in the dark while wearing oven mitts. After a few beers, we ignore massive red flags because she's attractive and laughs at our jokes. I once dated a woman who texted her ex more than she texted me, but convinced myself it was fine because she made amazing pancakes and knew all the lyrics to my favorite songs. My standards were lower than my credit score after Christmas shopping. Or we overreact to completely innocent situations. A casual "my ex liked that restaurant too" becomes evidence of an elaborate conspiracy to get back together with them. We turn into relationship detectives over the most mundane comments. She mentioned her ex liked pasta. I like pasta too. Is she comparing us? Or worst of all, we misinterpret neutral signals based on our own baggage. That slight pause before she answers a question? Clearly she's hiding something, not just thinking about her response like a normal human being. My paranoia has paranoia. I've personally committed all these relationship crimes. Multiple times. Sometimes on the same date. I'm basically the serial killer of healthy relationship behavior. And here's the real problem. By the time you notice the pattern, you're already emotionally invested. You've built this whole fantasy future together with the golden retriever named Scout, the weekend cookouts, and that vacation to Greece you've been planning. You know, the one you can't afford because you spent too much on protein powder and video games. But what if you could see these patterns from the beginning? What if her relationship with exes is actually a preview of your future together? That's exactly what I discovered after my last girlfriend answered a FaceTime from her ex while we were out celebrating our anniversary. Talk about a wake-up call. Less good morning and more, your relationship is on fire. The 4 horsemen of your relationship apocalypse. In my research, I found studies by Dr. Mark Sullivan from the Relationship Research Institute. He identified 4 distinct ex-relationship patterns that directly predict how someone will behave in future relationships. First is the completely severed pattern. No contact, clean break. Like when I delete all social media after a breakup and pretend that 3-year relationship was just a weird dream. Kelly? Never heard of her. Is that a type of sandwich? Second is the lingering attachment pattern. Continued emotional connection. They're just friends, but somehow every crisis in their life requires urgent ex-boyfriend consultation. My car won't start. Better call my ex who works in marketing. Third is the friendly distance pattern. Occasional respectful contact. Birthday texts are fine. 2 a.m., you up. Messages are not. This is the relationship equivalent of nodding at an acquaintance in the grocery store, but not stopping to chat. Fourth is the chaotic cycle pattern. On again, off again dynamics. They break up more often than you change your sheets, which I hope is at least bi-weekly, gentlemen. If your sheets can stand up by themselves, we have bigger problems to discuss. Each pattern reveals something completely different about your potential future. Take my experience with Jessica. At first, it seemed like she had a completely severed pattern. She claimed to want nothing to do with her ex, but her actions told a different story. The constant texts, the detailed explanations, the emotional reactions, these were classic signs of the lingering attachment pattern. Like claiming you're on a diet while I watch you demolish a pint of ice cream at 1 a.m. Hey, I'm not judging. I'm right there with you. Just be honest about it. It's complicated, and not just the Facebook status. But here's where it gets interesting. The research shows it's not as simple as good or bad patterns. What matters most is three things. First, self-awareness. Does she understand her own relationship patterns, or is she the relationship equivalent of someone who keeps touching a hot stove and being surprised it burns? Wow, who could have predicted that texting my ex at midnight would cause drama? A complete mystery. Second, consistency. Do her words match her actions? Is she saying I'm totally over him while maintaining a shrine to their relationship in her phone's photo gallery? If her ex's contact photo is more recent than her LinkedIn profile picture, we have a problem. Third, growth mindset. Has she learned from past relationships? Or is she auditioning the same exact boyfriend with a different face? Spoiler alert, changing the actor doesn't change the script. In fact, someone who acknowledges past relationship mistakes and shows how they've grown can be a stronger partner than someone who claims to have never had relationship issues. That perfect relationship history? About as real as those Instagram photos where everyone's skin is poreless. Yeah. And I'm sure your brunch just naturally arranged itself in that aesthetically pleasing way. The real red flag isn't having relationship baggage. We all do. My baggage could fill a 747. It's lacking the self-awareness to recognize patterns and the will to change them. I'm still working on recognizing when she didn't text back in 10 minutes, so she must hate me. Anxiety kicks in. 3 ways to apply the X test. So what does this mean for you? After interviewing relationship experts and conducting my own painful field research, dating in my 20s, also known as the dark times, I've identified 3 specific behaviors to look for when applying the X test. First, listen for how she talks about her exes. Research from the University of California found that extreme characterizations are warning signs. If every ex was crazy, abusive, or a narcissist, it suggests an inability to see relationships realistically. It's like someone who's been fired from 10 jobs and claims every single boss was terrible. At some point, you're the common denominator, Karen. And spoiler alert, you might be the next crazy ex in her lineup. Second, watch how boundaries are maintained. Dr. Sullivan's research shows that healthy ex relationships have clear, consistent boundaries. Pay attention to how she responds when boundaries are tested. Does she enforce them? Or do the lines blur when it's convenient? I once dated someone who needed to check in with her ex weekly because his goldfish might be depressed. Spoiler alert, it wasn't about the goldfish. Unless that goldfish had thumbs and could send shirtless selfies at 1 a.m. Third, observe the emotional impact of ex interactions. The most telling indicator is not whether she interacts with exes, but how those interactions affect her emotionally. Does talking about or to an ex derail her emotionally for hours? Does one text from him turn date night into a 3-hour analysis of their relationship timeline? Research shows this lingering emotional reactivity strongly predicts unresolved attachment. If his name makes her cry into her tacos, she's not over him, man. The bottom line, understanding the X test isn't about becoming the relationship police or judging someone's past. Trust me, with my dating history, I'm in no position to judge anyone. My relationship choices have been questioned by every friend, family member, and once, very concerningly, by my Uber driver. It's about recognizing patterns that predict your future together. Jessica and I broke up 3 months later when I discovered she was still emotionally entangled with her ex. The signs were there from the beginning. I just didn't know how to read them. Like trying to assemble IKEA furniture without instructions. I was destined for failure, and probably some extra screws. To this day, I have a bookshelf that leans to the left like it's had 3 martinis. The relationship experts are clear. Past patterns predict future behavior with startling accuracy. But knowing these patterns gives you the clarity to make better relationship decisions from the start. This isn't about finding someone perfect, which is good because perfect people don't exist. And if they did, they definitely wouldn't date me or anyone who's ever said, "hold my beer," before doing something stupid. It's about finding someone who understands their own patterns and is actively working to grow from them. That self-awareness is the difference between a relationship that evolves and one that repeats the same painful cycle. Like that one ex who keeps showing up in your DMs at 2 a.m. claiming they've changed, only to pull the exact same disappearing act 3 weeks later. We see you, Brad. We all see you. Hit that subscribe button and join the Big Brain crew for more content that'll literally grow your brain. Drop a comment below with your worst ex story. I guarantee mine's worse, but I want to hear yours anyway. The best comment gets pinned. Remember, every Big Brain video makes you 10% smarter than the average guys.